Where Death Dwells. I thought this was so fascinating, and I loved that it kind of started in this very, very terrifying place and like place of horror and kind of moved on from that. Uh, which, like I said, I thought was really interesting, and that you stayed with her, the kind of in the beginning, the vision of terror, and kept with her the entire time, I thought was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed that. And then as you kind of get towards the end and see her, not fate, I guess, but see kind of what becomes of this and how she ends up kind of like taking over and being, the next kind of witchy woman in the woods. Um, I thought was really, really interesting, and I loved the kind of flashes that she has where she's sees the blood in her hands and then she flashes back and she looks again and it's not there anymore. And I liked that they had these kind of moments where they seeded doubt into the audience and into her of what really happened, what was going to happen, how was she, so far gone, could she come back, all of these different kinds of concepts and things. I really enjoyed how they kind of played it all off of each other and how they, like I said, kind of with these flashes sowed a little bit of doubt into the audience. At least they did it with me, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. It captured my interest right at the beginning, with a very, very strong opening and very, very strong start. And then I was just really intrigued because typically, you would stay with the survivor and the injured or possibly dead person, but instead we went along with the one that caused the harm, which I thought was, like I said, really interesting. I enjoyed it.
This film, Where Death Dwells, is to me like a zombie experimental film. The way I interpreted it is in the beginning, she becomes a zombie and kind of drains the people around her of their blood, but maybe that corresponds with like emotionally draining. And then she's confronted with her past and her life and the people she knew and maybe forgot about. And they don't look at her the same as they did before. And in the end, she finds a way to heal herself and become human again. I think it's kind of like a journey film, and she has to figure out who she is again. I think it was really well executed and very artsy and cool to watch. I think the settings they chose were really pretty and added a lot to the feeling you get from watching it.
Where Death Dwells. Quite an experience. I didn't know what this was going to be about. The opening scene, I thought it was going to be like, a horror zombie film, and I was all down for it, but then the film took quite a couple of turns. It became a music video, and it became the story of a woman going through different phases of loss and acceptance and growing up. And it really amazed me because it was quite a symbolic, poetic experience. And it has a lot of music, which was another interesting detail, because it felt like, it was like a film, but it also felt like 3 music videos all at once. So I don't know, I'm very sure if I understood the idea for this film, the idea of, because at the end of it, she learns that she's not, the same woman she once was, and that she has lost people she loved, but she also comes out more strong, and at the same time she's kind of a zombie because she eats people and she searches for the people she lost. It's a lot, and I like that because it's quite a combination of ideas, and I think that every viewer can come up with their own interpretation of this story. In any case, I love the songs, and uh, I really like the whole production design too, because the cinematography, the setting, the music, the combination of black and white with colors and the blood from the opening, it was very well done. So yeah, this is a unique experience, and I recommend it.
We are essentially seeing where death dwells, the space between life and death, and the discourse of one's journey from this one side of the bridge to the other, so to speak. We get to see pieces of this character's life, whether it be a little bit of who they are and where they come from, or who they've fallen in love with. Does this allude to murder? We don't really exactly know how this character dies, just that death is inevitable for this character. And by the end of it, we are met with what seems to be an angel of death themselves, and sort of helping them come to the realization of their transitional part in life itself. And it's only fair that they sort of do the same as what was given to them and sort of become the angel of death themselves. So it's sort of this cyclical pattern of life and death, and these the bridges that connect to them, and passing these bits of life and what we've learned from it on to the next.